Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. Welcome to 2025. We made it. We made it to another year. Are you going to maximize this year? You're going to sit around on that candy ass and do nothing. What are you going to do with this year? Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live, the longest running live podcast Q&A in the history of the universe. I'm glad you guys are here. I hope you had a wonderful 2024, and I hope you are planned and ready to go for a wonderful 2025. We have a group on Discord called Team Massive, and we are running something called the 10-100. And basically, you pick 10 challenges. You get to pick your challenges. It doesn't really matter. And you pick the challenges, and then you try to stick to them for 100 days. Pretty simple stuff. So if you're interested, a lot of folks are starting on the 6th, Monday. So, the first of the month was kind of in the first of the year was in the middle of the week, right? So a lot of people are starting on Monday. If you would like to join us, there's still time to get in. So check that out. You can check out the link to any of my videos or the description box, any of my videos. You can find a link to that group, and you can find the PDF for the 10-100 in there for free. If you have any questions on that, let me know. I'm going to dive in real quick today. I'm not going to blather you with nonsense. Real quick, though, if you are interested in coaching, I only have a couple of spots left. You can head over to superlivingtoday.com. I'm pretty full right now. This is that time of year. But now through January 6th, I'm still going to be taking on actively pursuing new clients. So if you're interested, please let me know. You can head over there. Just check out the coaching tab. So what's new with me? What are my challenges for 2025? The big one is I'm trying to give up caffeine for 100 days. As you're probably like, he's nuts. Why is he doing it? A couple people asked why I was doing that. No health issues. Sorry to disappoint you. Couple reasons. Number one, I think I've always had a problem with anything that I feel controls me and I don't feel in control of. And I feel a little bit more falsely reliant on caffeine right now than I feel comfortable with. It's not like it's causing any issues or sleep issues or anything, but like just the reliance on caffeine drinks throughout the day over and over and over again. I just ask myself, what are you doing? What are you doing with this stuff? What's the whole point, right? So I want to kind of free myself from being owned, so to speak, by caffeine. I also maybe want to take a break from spending money on that crap. I think we spend so much money on caffeine drinks, and you have to ask yourself, is all this extra money really adding value into my life? That's a question I'm asking myself. One of the things I want to find out is, how do I feel off caffeine? I've been off caffeine a couple times before. I think the last time I went off caffeine was nearly 28 years ago. A couple times along the way, I just got off caffeine and then had a bad day and hopped back on caffeine. You know how it goes. You have a bad day and then all of a sudden I'm going to have a coffee or I'm going to have an energy drink, and then it starts up again. So this is day 3. I had a real minor caffeine headache all day yesterday. Feel a little bit foggy, feel a little bit weird, but we're going to see what happens now. At the bottom of this, you can see some stuff. I've been taking creatine, beta-alanine, and taurine, and using electrolyte powder. It kind of settles, but it goes down eventually. And the electrolyte powder adds a little bit of flavor. So that's what I've been doing. Agua. Anyway, I also have a challenge I'm doing for the 10-100 where I am trying to stick to my supplement plan. And this is creatine. I've been doing, not really talking about this online, but I've been doing about 15 grams of creatine a day. And I've been doing beta alanine and taurine 3 times a day. Basically, I have 3 drinks like this 3 times a day. This has 5 grams of creatine, a little bit of taurine, a little bit of beta alanine. And I've been just basically sipping on that. So that's my plan. You get a little eyeball tingle with that beta alanine. So let me know your plan. And if you have any big goals for the year, let's get rolling. Big Ernie Peterson. Good morning, Ernie. Thanks for joining in. Ernie from Team Massive, client of mine. What are your thoughts on flat bench pin press as a bench tricep builder? Would you program it in as a chest or tricep work? A pin press can be done a number of different ways. Now, if you're going to have it off your chest, say like 4 inches and start there, is that specifically a tricep builder? Probably no more, no less than a close grip bench. At that point, you could have a wider grip. You could have a more narrow grip. I wouldn't really overthink it too much. You could slot it into either slot. When we're slotting workouts or creating workouts, you have a certain number of exercises you're going to do for chest and certain number you're going to do for triceps. It's some things can't be easily quantified, and this can kind of trigger us in a sense, right? We want to be able to put everything in a nice little box, but I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. Personally, when I do a bench press variation, I'm probably going to slot it into a chest spot unless I do more close grip and a little bit higher off the chest. So what are my thoughts on it as a bench builder? Well, there's no issue with it. I mean, when you are looking at building a big bench, there's a lot of variations you could do, bench press variations, from chain bench press work to bands to pin press to incline press to Spoto press to the Larson press. There's so many variations you can do. That are any of them inherently good or bad? No. Do I want to get away from just flat benching alone? No, but having a variation like this every week, even if you're more of a casual lifter, meaning you want to build a bigger bench, but you're not about all end limit strength, you could definitely work in another bench variation each week. It's hard to compare bench variations because a lot of it's personal. The best thing I can say is just try them. See what you like, see what you think, and stick with what you like. Run it for a phase. If you don't like it, run a different variation and kind of go from there. It's hard to answer a question like this because in the pool of bench press variations, there's so many options. None of them are good or none of them are bad. A lot of it's highly personal, and there's no real way to measure out what is good or bad for the individual lifter. It's a solid lift. Let's just leave it at that. Yvonne, how's it going, Yvonne? Thanks for tuning in. When recovering from a lower back injury, would you recommend putting RDLs aside altogether or completely reducing the weight? It depends on your form. If you have pretty good form, I don't like to get away from an exercise I'm going to come back to later. It depends on your form and the severity of the exercise or the severity of the injury. In many cases, I'd probably just keep it in there and go lighter. But if you had a pretty noteworthy lower back strain or stress, I would maybe just dump it for a couple months, rebuild some momentum, and then start to add it back in once your low back feels okay. Martin, a client of mine, Happy New Year. Sorry. Sorry for the loud yell. Who's ready to kick 2025 in the balls? I am. Even if we start slow, it's better to start slow than not to start at all. So, whatever your plans are, whatever your goals are, don't get frustrated. Even if you feel like absolute crap out of the gate, just move forward. I feel like absolute crap today. Last night was the second night off caffeine, and for some reason, my sleep was really not the best. It was a little bit up and down. That could have been related to caffeine or not caffeine, but I'm also on a cutting diet, so I think I got up 249 times to flush water last night, take a pee. That's what happens. Barbell Beauty from Team Massive. Happy Friday and happy New Year, Team Massive. Thanks for tuning in. What does 2025 look like for you? Most of all, I have to tell you guys, and some of the younger guys might not understand, the older you get, the more you gain appreciation for being physically functional and free, having physical freedom. I'm just thankful for another round to fight. With that said, I don't feel old, and I'm just going to continue to see what I can do. I want this to be one of my best years. I think one of the issues when I got into coaching is that I didn't know what to expect. I got into coaching, just basically with 3 to 5 clients at the start, and I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe it would be a nice side income, and it grew so incredibly rapidly. Such a huge blessing that in some ways it caught me off guard. You didn't expect that level of success. And when you have something that enters your life like that, like a force of nature, and that's really what it was, you have to have some rebalancing time where you rebalance the rest of your life. I love helping people. This is why I'm here every week. I could easily just do this whenever I felt like it, right? But this is a passion of mine. I love helping people. I want to pass along my beliefs and my philosophies and help people that want my help, right? So there's a balancing act between, wanting to help people and taking care of yourself. I think that's something that a lot of us go through. Martin, with the benefit of 2020 hindsight, what would you have done differently or professionally in 2024? Not a lot, man. I'm in a really good groove. Content-wise, last year, I think I really had a good focus on information. When I said at the beginning of the year I was going to focus on quality information and focus less on everything else that's going on in the world of YouTube, some people took it like you can never talk about anything other than your information. And that's just part of being on this YouTube, right? Some people busted my balls whenever I would talk about something other than content. But I think I had a really good year as far as content and information, more focused than ever. I want to keep that up. Nothing that I really regret. I need to structure content more, make more time in my day or week. YouTube started to suffer the last 6 months. Not that not that the videos were crappy or anything. I was happy with the videos. I just didn't have enough time to put out as many as I want. I keep a list of topics, and I probably have a couple hundred topics in the queue. Big Joe B, a client of mine. How's it going? Shelly, a client of mine. That's what I like to see. Thank you guys so much for your support. Big Mike M, a client of mine. Do you have a beginner program for a female that wants a 4-day-a-week containing at least 2 leg sessions? I have put together programs like this. literally have probably about, I don't know, you'd be surprised. I think I have about 5,000 programs in my drive. Um, that's probably not an exaggeration at all. The thing with programming is it's highly individual, and I'm not being dismissive, but everyone has different goals and different equipment. And, you know, a framework, yeah, I could put together a framework. But when you start to talk about legs and women, women tend to be more glute focused, most of them, some of them aren't. So when you start to talk about putting together a leg workout, we have to factor in, is this going to be glute heavy? What equipment can they do? What's their experience level? So I don't have any generic templates. I'm always up for putting something together. So if anybody wants a custom workout, there are still only $39. Um, if somebody wants to put together a workout and have me critique it, it's a little bit more quick and painless. But no, I don't really have anything I can just hand out. I don't have any templates. This might sound really selfish or really weird, but when it comes to like stuff, programs I put out here, I have to put out programs out here that are going to be more mass appeal. Not that I dumb them down or anything like that, but like if I put out a women's program on here, the women that followed it would appreciate it. But, you know, I think I'd get about 50 views. So there's always a balancing act. YouTube is what YouTube is. It's not my complete business, obviously. So I don't rely on it for income. I make very little money off of it. But, I generally have to put out the biggest hitting topics on YouTube, if that makes sense. Martin, how do you think leg training would have to change in a few weeks leading up to a half marathon? Not really, not much at all. My leg training remained pretty simple. I think the date you have the marathon, you have to look and see when is my last leg workout, and then maybe dumb it down a little bit. You want to go in fresh. You might feel fresh, but your legs could have some lingering fatigue. So you probably really don't want a leg workout a week before something like this. And then the workout that is a week before, you probably want to make it pretty routine. You don't want to do anything extreme or put yourself in a position, where you're going to get hurt or encourage a strain or pain, by pushing for another rep, if that makes sense. Big Lee. What do we got here, Big Lee? Big Steve Honey. I think that says honey. I hope so. This 2-month GOMAD, for those of you keeping score at home, gallon of milk a day. 2-month GOMAD, 3 times a week full body plan. I got. Okay, so facetiously, he's drinking a lot of milk, training, saying his prayers, eating his vitamins like Hulk Hogan, doing his full body program like the true savior of lifting. How many cardio days a week? All of them. That's my best advice. Do all the cardio days. What I would do is make sure you're doing cardio on a full stomach and full of milk. Drink that entire gallon of milk at one sitting and then immediately do cardio. That would be my best advice. If you guys can't tell, I'm being facetious. I assume Lee's being facetious. I don't know. We never know in the lifting world. Are you into Feng Shuang? Are you into Shuang Wing? Are you into Shuang Wang? Feng Shui. I'm into eating a lot of jalapenos and being feng shui with them. That's about it. All right, let me get a drink, guys. Keep your questions coming. I will stay on as long as you guys have questions. David, how's it going, David? Thanks for tuning in. Nolan, a client of mine, last leg day at the gym today. Switching next week. Gonna go to war one last time. Enjoy it, man. I hope it goes really well. And sorry, I'm laughing at the comment that came in. I was being an idiot. Nolan, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at a comment I'm about to post. Have fun, Nolan. I hope the new gym works out for you. Let me know. Lee says, I was being serious. And HNY says, Happy New Year. That's why I'm laughing at myself. Because Lee, that's how I'm doing too. He said, Big Steve, Happy New Year. I read it as Big Steve, honey. Either way is good, right? We'll take either way. Lee said he was being serious, okay? I wasn't sure, Lee, because GOMAD is kind of not talked about anymore. So I guess it's a good topic of conversation. Lee said, I didn't mean to insult you at all, Lee. I didn't know if you were being facetious. Doing GOMAD, just literally be careful. You want to make sure that you're digesting everything properly. Drinking that amount of milk a day can sometimes be an irritant, cause stomach distress. How much cardio? Cardio is really up to the individual. And minimum for general health, you want to do probably an hour a week of cardio, and probably want to aim to get your steps to about 7,000 per day. So those are just general guidelines for any lifter. They're not rules you have to follow. But if you're looking for general health, those are really good guidelines. Try to aim for at least 7,000 steps a day. 10,000 is really, really good. That's what I'm aiming for right now. And, try to get an extra hour of cardio. When I say cardio, I don't want you guys to staple yourself to an elliptical or treadmill. I want you guys to do any form of movement. When I say cardio on this channel, it really means do any form of movement you enjoy. Walking the dog, having the wife walk you, swimming, biking, whatever. Just get an extra hour of movement, even martial arts, whatever, doesn't really matter. Try to get in an extra hour a week. And Ghostface said Lee Ripito. It was just Ripito was big on the gallon of milk a day. So I hope that helps, Lee, and I hope you didn't think I was insulting you at all. I wasn't sure if you were being facetious. There's nothing wrong with the plan. Just attack and let me know if you have any more questions. The man of tungsten, almost 3,700% natural, LFG. Good, man. Keep up the great work. I hope this is a good year for you. Do you have any strategies for staying consistent working? How do you deal with constant distractions and responsibilities and still work out regularly? That's a very good question. And he went on to say, particularly when you have trouble working out at the same time every day, I think one of the best things you can do is set minimums. Okay. At minimum, I want to do this amount of work per week, per body part. Minimums can still give you a lot of good progress, right? It's not like if you just train 2 days a week, that somehow you're going to lose gains. You're not. You can still make really good progress doing that sort of thing, right? So I think the biggest thing is to set a reasonable minimum and hold yourself accountable for that. I'm going to hit this minimum no matter what. We also have to work in some flexibility. We have to maybe say, I'd like to do 3 sets of bench, but it's okay if I only do 2. It's okay maybe if I only do 1. Is it okay to only do 1 set of bench during the week if you're really, really pinched for time? Yeah, it's absolutely fine. The worst crime you can commit is taking extended periods of time away. If you are benching and you're doing pretty good, and you have to have a week where you only do one set after warm-ups, then just make it count. It's as simple as that. Work in the lane you are in and don't beat yourself up. On the other hand, when you have a busy and chaotic life, we can sometimes allow ourselves too much leg room or wiggle room, right? Like, I don't feel like going, I'm not going to go because I'm busy or this is a weird time. You have to have a minimum degree of accountability, right? I don't feel like working out today. I'm tired. It's a weird time. The gym is packed, whatever. You have to at least go in and do something. You have to make yourself do it. And there are many times many of us can't simply do that. It sounds good on paper. But my biggest advice is set a minimum that is reasonable each week and allow yourself flexibility to drop or scale down your exercises to 2 sets or 1 set per exercise if need be. Does that make sense? Big Justin Jones. Good morning, big hairy ugly dude in T-Mass. Getting a lot of injuries lately. This time it's my wrist. Any tips for wrist pain during presses and squats? So, on the squat, one of the issues we can pick up is that getting under the bar with that narrow grip can place a lot of stress on the wrist, depending on the individual. So, if that's you, you have to allow yourself the ability to widen your grip a little bit if you can. That's your first starting point. Okay? That's your first starting point. If that doesn't help, you might have to look at other options like the safety squat bar. On bench, use wrist wraps. We went through a phase maybe about 10 years ago where there was like this fear of wrist wraps. But I'll tell you, the stronger you get on bench, the more likelihood you're going to have wrist stress, right? So you absolutely want to use wrist support, wrist wraps. You don't have to get super expensive ones. You don't have to get the thickest, most inflexible wrist wrap, super tight, super long. You don't have to spend $8 bajillion. Just get a wrap for support, right? Basically, the wrist area, it's flexible, right? Duh, right? So when you are holding a bar, you're going to have all these micro stresses, right? I look really awkward. You're going to have all these little micro stresses that create instability here in the wrist. So having something that aids with stability, if you're picking up wrist injuries or wrist stress, is a good thing. Back when I was benching above 400 on a weekly basis, when I was at my biggest, the maximum I benched was 500 with chains. So my true bench was around 430, but I was always benching above 400, either with a slingshot or chains or whatever. My wrists would take a beating. And during that time, I started integrating wrist wraps, and it really, really helps. So don't be shy about integrating wrist straps. Ghostface, how do you feel about bodyweight squats? I feel like it hits my legs way more than the leg press. Well, we have to understand the difference between muscular fatigue and muscular mechanical tension and stress that's going to build muscle. Okay. I did step ups here. I have a step from Titan Fitness, and I did step ups last night to get my 10,000 steps in. What do we got right now? I have 1,043. And my legs were very fatigued. Hit my legs very, very well. There is a difference in the long run between leg stress and fatigue and mechanical tension and stress that is in concert and hand in hand with progressive overload that's going to facilitate muscle gains. Bodyweight squats aren't going to build muscle. They aren't progressively overloaded. They can challenge your muscles. They can fatigue your muscles, but that's a different type of fatigue than the mechanical stress under progressive overload that we have from doing regular squats. Okay. I'm going to tell you from a muscular standpoint, a muscle building standpoint, it does not hit your legs way more than leg press. It fatigues them, right? That's not muscle building. That's not, you can push a pencil over your head 500 reps in a row and you're going to pick up muscular fatigue. That's not going to build muscle, right? So the key thing is to learn the difference. The process of muscle building, it has to involve progressive overload. You could do a set of leg press and then superset it with body weight squats because your muscles are pre-fatigued from a mechanical tension standpoint, right? The stress of pushing for progressive overload and pushing for one more rep. Your muscles are fatigued in a good way. They're beaten down. And then if you wanted to superset them with some additional stress from some body weight squats or body weight jump squats, you could. Some of you might be asking, what's the point? What's the difference, right? Wouldn't that be redundant or counter to what you just said? No, because the goal of building muscle, or our goal in the gym when we want to build muscle, is we want to have that eye on progressive overload. We want to push sets as deep as we can safely. So we push that muscle down from a hypertrophy standpoint, right? From a mechanical tension and stress standpoint, we've pushed it down and it's not fully recovered. So while it's in that fatigue state, doing some additional work, generally, is it going to be a game changer for hypertrophy? No. Could you do it on your last set to get the little bit of something out of it? Yes, I believe that when you push a muscle down using a conventional hypertrophy set, anything you do afterwards in a superset or rest pause manner is just going to enhance the original stress. Okay. This might sound a little bit bro sciencey, but I'm just trying to use common sense. If you beat your chest up and your triceps up with the bench press, and then you hop down and do push-ups, if you just did push-ups and you never tried to progress, there would be no overload, right? No progressive overload. But if you do them after beating the living crap out of your chest and your triceps, you have pushed that muscle or those muscles down from a hypertrophy standpoint. And now before they have a chance to recover, you're pushing them down more. I think there is value in that. Do you need to use it? No. Is this potentially going to be a game changer? Probably not. But you can do something like this, and there is no downside, and that's the important thing. There is no downside, right? So all the debates on the internet over whether doing supersets or maybe doing body weight jump squats after squats or push-ups supersetted with after bench, supersetted with bench, do they have value? People will argue this until they go to war and hate each other. But the bottom line is, number one, you are leading with hypertrophy, with a hypertrophy set, and you're beating the muscle down with a hypertrophy set. And then you're doing a little bit of extra work where the body allows you to. So, you know, it can be fun. It can be enjoyable. And all the arguments aside, is there any downside? No. Is there a potential upside? Yes. Do we need to overuse it? No. So anyway, that's not really an answer specifically to your question. But I hope it was an interesting discussion nonetheless. Big Bob, a client of mine. Bob, thanks for tuning in. Tom, how's it going, Tom? Steve, I found you through the baseball sim community. Appreciate it. I'm actually working on a game on the side. I'm working on a tabletop game, not something I talk about in the lifting world. I'm on a journey to lose 20 pounds. I may lose more than that after, we will see. My doc said 20. So that's what I'm shooting for. Anyway, I saw you live here and I thought I would say hi. Appreciate you joining in, Tom. The biggest thing I would say is try to bring your protein up to about 35% of your daily calories. This will allow you to have a little bit more food volume, and it kind of rules out the potential or the likelihood that you can rely on fast food or junk food. So try to bring your protein intake up to 35% of your daily calories. Try to look at what I call damage control, right? What are the things that get me in trouble? In the long run, we need to practice damage control, right? So with damage control, what used to get me in trouble? I used to, when I would order a pizza, I'd get the large and the thick crust and all the stuff. So damage control, now I get the thin crust and the small, right? In the long run, those decisions, those small changes are going to be very impactful, especially regarding maintaining your weight. Like I used to get the whole big bag of Doritos. Now, if I want Doritos, I get that little tiny bag. These are small things that we need to kind of rewire to promote long-term health and success, fighting the small battles. And when it comes to normal daily eating, we have to plan more of our meals rather than going on whims. And what I mean by that is if we wake up today and we don't know what we're going to eat, we're more likely to completely go crazy, right? I know what I'm going to eat today, not necessarily how I'm going to structure it, but I know the foods I'm going to eat. They're in my fridge. Last night, I got out a pound of bison and I put it from the freezer into the fridge. That is what I'm going to eat today, along with a pack of instant potatoes, right? I also know what I'm going to eat today. I had two Greek yogurts and some peaches for breakfast. I know if I'm get hungrier later and I want a snack, I'm going to eat more Greek yogurt to kind of fill in the cracks. One of the best ways for me to fill in the cracks is doing like Greek yogurt and fruit. What am I going to do for lunch? Well, I don't know specifically, but I do know that I have limited number of choices, and I know what those choices are in the house. They're going to be eggs. They're going to be this, that, or the other thing. I know what my choices are. So we need to have, when it comes to long-term success, some sort of a plan. We just can't wake up and have it be like, oh, it's 10:32. What am I going to have for lunch today? If you're in that position in life, there's a good chance you're setting yourself up for failure. It's not that we can't have fun, right? I'm not an anti-fun guy. I love beer like everybody else. I love Doritos. I love the purple bag of Doritos like everybody else. I love all this stuff. I love ice cream. But one thing we can't do is during the 80 to 90%, we can't allow ourselves to eat like kids, like on whims. What do I want today? Right? Most of that stuff, the 80 to 90% needs to be planned out. Not to the point where you're eating the same thing, but I keep the same foods in the house and rely a lot on the same things. And you're going to find anybody that's successful with weight maintenance tends to rely more on the same food choices. Now, you don't have to eat chicken and broccoli or anything radical like that, right? With every meal. I keep in my house lean bison, lean venison, elk sausages, eggs, egg whites in case I want a little bit of filler. I keep really dry Asiago cheese, and I keep white cheddar. Sometimes I just like to have a few pieces of cheese. I keep Greek yogurt and plain yogurt, and a lot of frozen peaches and a lot of frozen berries. Um, and I keep uh, packs of instant rice and packs of instant potatoes, things that aren't going to spoil. So I know if I need a fallback, I have them. But I find things I like to eat that taste good, that I don't mind eating over and over again. Last night I had bison and potatoes and a tin of green chili and a bunch of jalapenos on top. I love jalapenos, right? And I can pretty much turn anything into an enjoyable meal with jalapenos or Frank's Red Hot. I really can. And I'm not going out of my way to eat crap, but I got to make sure I get in nutrients, right? And I got to make sure, like, I don't get to like 6 o'clock at night, like, what am I going to eat? I'm going to order pizza. I'm going to go get a burger. Not that there's anything wrong with any of these choices, but when we eat on whims, we tend to get in trouble. So we have to really look at the lifestyle and planning. Good form. AC, funny through. Sorry, that was the repetitive question. I appreciate it. That was the one I just asked. Let's see, where are we? Keep the questions coming, guys. I'll stay on as long as you have questions. And look, don't hesitate to hit me up via DM. I help everybody for free. I'm not trying to push anything on anybody. That's how I built my business. I do coaching, but I also have a free community. I give out, I'll help anybody any way I can for free. So, Guy, C7. My shoulder is feeling a bit jacked up. Feel like nerve pain all the way down the arm. That's not good. And it's better now than a couple of days ago after doing grinder reps of weighted pull-ups. There's a good chance you might have experienced some form of inflammation. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. But if you feel some kind of a nerve issue, you might have some kind of a pressure inflammation issue, pushing on a nerve. Who knows, right? So you were doing weighted pull-ups. Number one, in the long term, you need somebody to look at your weighted pull-ups form just to make sure it's good to go. That would be me. I'd be happy to do that for you. I don't charge anything. It's very easy to cheat weighted pull-ups, so have somebody look at them. And number two, when we are easing back in, we have to do what we call a feeler workout, where we have to kind of set our ego aside a little bit. I'm not going to do weighted pull-ups today. I'm going to do body weight, maybe 2 sets of 5. And maybe you feel perfectly fine during those 2 sets of 5, and you feel a little bit deflated because you're not pushing as hard as you think you could, right? But one of the pitfalls, one of the mistakes people make is that when they have an injury, they immediately, let's say you do a set of 5 body weight pull-ups and it feels good, and you like go back to the weighted pull-ups again, and all of a sudden, boop, you get bonked, right? You get hit again. One of the big mistakes people make is assuming that everything feels good just from a lighter, more moderate warm-up set. You have to go in and feel things out. Do 2 sets of 5 on body weight pull-ups, something in that area. And not just see how things feel during the workout, but see how things feel 3 or 4 or 5 days from now. And if they feel fine, we don't immediately rush back in, right? If you jacked your shoulder up, we want to be safe. So if the 2 sets of 5 felt fine with body weight, go in next time and add a little bit of weight and ease back into things. And basically after, several workouts, we don't have to do this forever, but after several workouts, if you gain confidence and everything's feeling fine, then you're fully recovered. On the other hand, if it's lingering, we need to give it more space, if that makes sense. Michael, Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in, Michael. Let me get a drink here. Used to work out 5,000 to 6,000 times a week on a body part split. Probably won't have more than 4 days now because of work. Anything wrong with having 2 workout days on the weekend? No, that's what I plan on doing. Work out when you can work out. No, nothing wrong. Back to back is kind of my limit personally. I feel I can lift 3 or 4 days in a row, but I always feel like I need a little bit of rest after the second hard day. But that's highly personal. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing you don't want to do is do like arm work on a Saturday and then on a Sunday do chest or back work because your arms would be fatigued headed into the big compound movements, right? Does that make sense? So that's the only thing you don't want to do. You don't want to have any muscular interference, so to speak. Ghost Race, thanks. I hope that helps some. Ventrix, is it okay to use straight sets for every exercise? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't fall into the fear camp that if every set isn't pushed to the absolute limit all the time, you aren't going to make gains. I'm going to tell you guys something, and I want you to understand it. And this is the gospel, and this is truth. If you start out today on day one, and you only do straight sets, and maybe you only maximize one set of those 3, if you only maximize one set of those 3, and that's all you do for the next 10 years, you're going to be huge. You're going to be huge because you're consistent. You have quality exercises. You have consistency. And given that you nail your diet right, you're going to be huge. You're not going to be any smaller than the guy next to you, right? You're not going to be any smaller than some guy. I'm not saying it has to stay this way because we want to be smart. The demands of every exercise are different. So you might get on lat pull downs and you like pushing every set to the limit. Go ahead. But there's this cancerous belief that if you don't, you must train a certain way to maximize mass. Building muscle mass is a long game. Okay. There are many components to longevity. Number one is not beating the living crap out of your body. It's sustainability. As you get stronger, it becomes harder to push every single set to the limit. Some people can, some people can't. It depends on your journey, the exercise, how far you're in, etc. We aren't dum-dums, so we don't make blanket statements about every exercise and every person all the time, because training is far more art than it is science. And that might chap the old assaronis of some people listening, but training is far more art than science. And in the long run, we have to allow ourselves some flexibility to not always feel like we have to maximize everything all the time. If your boat is floating right here with 3 sets of 10 on bench press, and you only maximize the last set, but the last set you move up 2 reps and then you add weight, your overall volume is going to go up and up and up. What is volume? It is sets times reps. We're talking working volume. Sets times reps times weight. So your volume over time, regardless of whether you use straight sets and maximize one or you use threes and maximize them all, your volume is going to go up. And at the end of the road, it's going to be the same. I guarantee it. It will be the same. How we look at volume is like this. Imagine you're just standing on a planet called Earth. and there's a plate put on your head, or a giant god that is pushing down on your head. And he starts off just mildly. Okay. That's your starting volume. And every week that pressure increases by 0.5%. Right. And you get stronger, and the body gets stronger, pushing back against those external forces. Right. That's how you need to look at volume. Whether you maximize every set, you maximize only one set for an exercise. After 10 years, that giant is going to be pushing down on your head with the same degree of force, and your body will respond by strengthening against that force, the overall cumulative volume. So yes, we need a progressive overload scheme in our training. Okay. We need to try to improve over what we did last week. That's really the key. That's really the key. We don't need to maximize every sets. And as a counterpoint to that, we don't need to create a workout structure or dogma that says we should never maximize more than one set. What we need to do is be smart and not create dogma, because the people out there that are creating dogma, that are creating this is the only way, this is the only system. Turn down your volume a little bit, because I'm going to swear they're full of shit. They are full of shit. So we are not trying to create dogma. We are going to be smart. We're going to realize training is an art form. We're going to realize the demands of every exercise are different. And when we are in the gym, we might like taking all sets of an exercise to the limit. We might like that. And if it's safe and sustainable, we can do that. Let's say on bench, you like pushing every set to the limit. Okay. On dumbbell bench, you only like pushing the last set. There's a bigger picture here, right? You are, number one, enjoying your training. Imagine that. Right? Number two, the bigger picture makes sense. It's okay. We're trying to create a dogma where everything has to be pushed to failure. We have a good selection of exercises, right? We have the bench and the dumbbell bench, and we're using a little bit of art to optimize things. But the beautiful thing about lifting is that it is a long path. You go into the gym and you make a little bit of progress. You go into the gym and you make a little bit of progress, and sometimes that progress is imperceivable. On the bench press, your last rep, you're pushing to failure. This week it's, I can't get it more than 4 inches off my chest. Next week it's, I got it 6 inches off my chest, but still failed. The dum-dum is going to think, I'm not making any progress. The wise trainee is going to realize I'm making progress. Imperceivable? No, it is still perceivable. And then over 3-4 weeks, you go from that complete failure rep on bench to a rep addition, which adds 5 pounds to your max. Training is a long-term process. It is filled with small little steps forward. And thinking that we have to create a dogma is wrong. It limits you. It creates systems that aren't necessary. It's okay to have systems. Systems create structure. They're a plan. We have phases of training. We attack. It's not okay to say this system is the only way or the best way. You can take 10 different training systems by the brightest minds in lifting and have them create their best, most optimal, most ultimate hypertrophy program for lifters in the first 5 years of lifting to go from 0 to wherever they're going to be after 5 years. So you take 10 of them And they're all going to have their pet ways of training, which is perfectly okay. That's the beautiful thing about lifting. And you give each one of these 100 trainees. So you have 10 of the top coaches with their own pet programs, and they have 100 trainees. And let's say, miracle of miracles, all of them train equally hard and consistent. At the end of 5 years, they're all going to be about at the same spot. They're all going to be about at the same spot. Doesn't matter about the variance and progressive overload. Doesn't matter about the micro variance. He likes leg presses. He likes hack squats. He likes alternating every other week between leg press and hack squats. None of that stuff matters. It's a big picture. It's a long run. And as long as the pillars are in place, what I call the massive iron pillars of success are in my latest book, Massive Omnibus. As long as those are in place, you have freedom. They are out there stealing your freedom. Okay? You have freedom. I'm always going to be the guy that sets you free, right? I'm always going to be the guy that shows you this is the playground and these are the rules of the playground. But as long as you play within the rules, you have freedom. And that is the truth of all truths. So when these hairy dick individuals who are just walking in the room with their big, juicy testicles, trying to tell you there's only one way, or when I say it's okay to only maximize the last set on some exercises, and they want to go to war, they mean well, but they don't see the bigger picture. They don't understand the nature of lifting. They don't understand that it's a long-term process. Does that make sense? So I'm going to skip forward real quick because we have a question related to this. Patty said, what's a straight set? So the best way to think of a straight set is you're going to use the same weight for each set. Let's say you're doing 3 sets of bench press, okay? You want to do 3 sets of bench. Who knows? Who cares? Who cares? Doesn't matter why. A straight set would be you're using the same weight for the same reps. Different type of work. You might stagger the weight. You might stagger the reps. That's a dumbed down variation. Does that make sense? Where are we? Lost track. Here we go. Big Billy Baker. Where did you get the step you posted on Instagram? I'll show you real quick. Hold on. I have a step in my office. And I will find it here and I'll show you guys. A step is really, really good to have in your home gym or to have, let's see. No, I can't find it. Titan Fitness step. No, I can't find it. You can, I'll go to Amazon for you, okay? Search aerobics step. Go to Google and search aerobics step. Okay? I did that. I didn't get anything bizarro. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. Just search aerobics step in Google. You're going to get all kinds of things. Don't be that Temu guy, right? Don't be that Temu guy. These ones for $90, no way. I'm not spending $95 for that sucker. This is more along what I'm talking about right here. $30. You can find them at Walmart for reasonably cheap. All Target, $27.99. $27.99. Right? You can find $27.99. You can find that thing. Macy's $28.99. The Circuit Step, $39.99. You can find them pretty reasonably. You can find them at Walmart. You can find them at Dick's, right? You can find them pretty much everywhere. So they're really, really nice to have. And the little bit of elevation change when you're doing a step up as opposed to walking will really increase the stress on your heart in a good way. One of the reasons why I like doing step ups is because number one, I have a TV right back here across from my station. I can watch TV and do step ups. Last night I was watching the Georgia and Notre Dame game. Watching the end of it, I was doing some step ups, trying to get my step count up. So pretty much any of these are going to be good. Go to Walmart, check out Target, check out Dick's. They'll have more. Check out Amazon. Just search aerobic step. For the love of all things holy, don't spend a lot of money on them. There's way too many out there. And I've used varying degrees over the years, and the quality difference really isn't much at all. Ventrix. On torso limbs, can I add 3 sets of abs? Yeah, you can absolutely. And calves, you can absolutely. So let me explain a couple things here. A torso limb split is something I came up with. Somebody might have come up with it many years ago. I've never seen it before, but it's something I came up with in the massive iron world. Torso, you're working your chest, your shoulders, and your back. Okay. Basically, that's a streamlined structure. Limbs, you're working your arms and legs. So you do a torso day, generally 18 total sets, 6 sets for back, 6 sets for chest, 6 sets for shoulders. And then you come in the next day and you do your arms and legs. That's a basic structure. I don't generally put abs and calves in any of my workouts, not because I'm against abs and calves work, but because all the periphery stuff, I want to get you guys on the meat and potatoes. Okay. I want to get you guys the meat and potatoes. And then the periphery stuff, adding in abs and calves and whatever. You can add it in when you have time, but we want to focus on the 95%. So you can absolutely add those in. Did you invent the upper posterior split? Yes. Just like I created the torso limbs. Now, I'm not saying there might not have been a lifter 30 years ago that used the same structure. I am unaware if anybody did, but in the massive iron world, the upper posterior is my creation, as is the torso limbs. In fact, the upper posterior and the torso limbs, generally you have 4 workouts. Torso A, limbs A, torso B, limbs B, and you rotate between those 4 workouts, inserting rest days as needed. So it allows some flexibility. You can train 3 days a week or 4 days a week. Upper posterior is the same. You have upper A, posterior A, upper B, posterior B, and you rotate between them. Now, I'm going to show you something. Superlivingtoday.com. That's my website. I'm not going to bore you with any sales pitches or any obnoxiousness, but I want to show you the workouts tab over there. All of these workouts are available for free here, okay? The workouts are available for free here. Any workout I put up for free on the YouTube. That's just the way I do things. So if you go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, it should have been massiveiron.com, but back when I left into coaching, I thought I was going to be doing more general population coaching, like wellness coaching. So it is what it is. There's a workouts tab. And if you search all, okay, these are all little PDF books of each workout. Now, the massive collection, which appears first, has 354 pages, basically all this stuff. But that aside, can you search by popular, best-selling? I sell a lot of these, so a lot of different workout structures. I have home gym workouts. I have the Massive Iron 5x5 This one, Power Muscle Hell. Some of these are available for only 99 cents. The Massive Iron Pillow. The AB Posterior Upper. Okay, that's what we were just talking about. The Massive Iron Push-Pull Arms Legs. I don't know that anybody else used this before me, but this is my push-pull legs variation where we squeeze in an arm day and we have a 4-day rotation. The Massive Crap Workout, that's my creation. Brute Force HVI, Drunk Russian, that's my creation. This is just my take on push-pull legs. And I have tons and tons of workouts over here. My 28-day power building cycle, my double progression workout, torso limbs, which we just talked about. Something I'll call creeping death is my progression approach. Massive lube, don't get excited. That's a workout I created as well. It's for guys that want to do upper body. When I say guys, I mean guys and girls. Let's not get politically all upset. Undies and a bunchies. Massive lube is for lifters that want to do 2 upper body sessions and then have a leg and a back day. And then you have massive junk, massive big small, massive minimal, massive cluster, FCK, massive deuces power building, the push-pull legs variant. So the interesting thing about the push-pull legs variant is that you have when it comes to back work, you have horizontal rowing, like dumbbell row, barbell row, seated cable row. You have vertical pulling, which is lat pull downs, pull ups. So the back work is kind of sliced and diced in that way. Massive volume training, massive rampage, massive MT, massive PPLUP, push pull legs upper posterior, massive hard gainer, massive YOLO, and massive peaks. All kinds of massive Squadzilla. All kinds of unique variations are all my creations. So if you're looking for a good workout idea, there you have it. Zero. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you. I hope you had a good start to the new year. Good morning, Team Massive. What are some clues that a fitness influencer is full of it? For me, it's if they advise against you advise against overhead press. Most of the arguments against overhead press are so dense, like there's nothing up here but a brick. That's a big one, and I'm not going to get into it now. But I will say, when an influencer says you can get big shoulders by doing side laterals alone, no, you can't. This might put your undies in a bunch, but you can't. I love side laterals. I do them at the end of every shoulder workout, but there's no real progressive overload opportunity. They're sprinkles on the icing on the cake. They're not the cake. When an influencer says a classic lift should be avoided, like blanketly states, puts out a blanket statement, this should be avoided. Bench is not good for chest development. It's absolute nonsense. It's such general horse crap. It's a big pet peeve of mine because, let's be real, if you listen to these chuckleberries long enough, they're going to tell you every exercise is bad for you or not efficient. And it's a really good way to make money on YouTube, but it's a lie. It's not true. Whether they're lying on purpose or lying out of ignorance, it's not the truth. It's simply not the truth. There's also a thing. When you coach people in the real world, you learn things, right? You learn that one size fits all approaches don't work in the real world because all of you, my best friends, You have different goals. You have different injury history. You have different limb lengths. You have different gyms. You have different equipment. You have different preferences. God help us if we like preference, if we actually enjoy our workout, right? Should you do dumbbell bench or dumbbell incline bench? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The big picture matters. What are you doing for chest overall? Preference is okay as long as it's reasonable. But the knuckleheads, the chuckleberries that never train anybody in the real world, that's not inherently a criticism. But if you don't train people in the real world, that's not saying anybody that doesn't train people in the real world is going to be clueless. But if you don't train people in the real world, you're going to have huge blind spots. You will. It's as simple as that. And people that train people in the real world can see these blind spots. But these people can't. These influencers can't. They can't see them. And that's a huge issue. Man, I could go on and on and on. I'm trying to think of some good ones. I thought I just had another one that escaped my brain. What are some ways that you can tell an influencer is full of it? Very dogmatic. One way. I got in a fight, not a fight with somebody sent me an influencer's comment, an influencer statement that said, prior to the steroids era, everybody trained low volume. What? I said, no, they didn't. This is a lie. You know what he responded with? Yes, they did, and you're ignorant. No, actually, I'm not ignorant. Actually, I've spent my life studying the workouts from the 1950s on. I have literally spent my life studying them. My life's work. I know how Steve Reeves trained. I know how Reg Park trained. I know how Marvin Eder trained. I know how John Grimick trained. I know how Arnold trained. I know how Lou Ferrigno trained. I know how Sergio trained. I know how Tom Platz trained. I know how Ronnie trained. In fact, I trained with Ronnie. I know how Jay trained. In fact, I recorded videos of Jay training. I know how John Meadows trained because I've spoken to him on the phone many times, several times. I know how Mike Rashid trains because he's trained at my gym. On. I know how the Lillibridges train. I've competed with them. At one point, I even edited their book. I know how people train. So this Chuckleberry said that everyone prior to the steroid era trained with low volume, which is such a huge lie. Such a huge lie. But that's what he was selling. He was selling a thing. When you see one of these influencers selling a single thing, if they were genuine, they would say, this isn't the only way, but this is my way. And those of you guys that like my way, come on, let's go. That's the way I do it. You don't like the way I train, structure programs? You don't like me? That's okay. A genuine influencer is going to say this is the only way. I am all about creating freedom. When you have influencers that do the opposite, that bottle you in or create restrictions that are unnecessary, like specific diets, or this is the only way to attack bench, or if you do bench press for this, you're going to get 23.2% more gains. That's a lie. Whether they're doing it intentional or they're clueless, it's a lie. Because over the long run, the steamroller flattens out all of these claims. And in the long run, the only thing that remains are the massive iron pillars of success: consistency, equality exercise selection, some form of progressive overload, a reasonable bulking approach, remaining patient, remaining consistent, on and on and on. If you have these things in place, that's all you need. Big Jonathan. Good morning, Stephen T. Massive. Just signed up for coaching. Thank you, Jonathan. I'm looking forward to it. Jonathan did the assessment service. And I love this is a new service I just put together this year. And I want to show you guys it because number one, I made it super cheap. And number one, there's something really cool about this assessment service. I like it. So if you go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com, you want a really good value. Okay. Is it under coaching? Nope. Is it under services? It's under services. Here, right here. This is an assessment. Okay. You sign up for this. I'm going to give you a ton of questions. And I'm going to go through your questions on video. And I'm going to assess everything I see. And I think the videos ran like 30 to 40 minutes. I tried not to make them too long. But for only $29, you can get a complete assessment of everything, including exercise form, your training program, your eating habits, every corner of lifting, every corner. So I had only three people sign up for it. But, Jonathan signed up for it. I hope it was beneficial. And Jonathan signed up for coaching today. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you, Jonathan. I'm looking forward to that. As soon as I am off of this video, I will be messaging you. So I appreciate your patience. Ice Cold Tristan 2.0. Happy Friday, Team Massive. Last week did squats with someone, and he saw me working up to a heavy single, and he told me I'll never. Oh, I love it. Hey, let's bring that challenge on, shall we? I'll never go past 365 without experiencing a knee, hip, or lower back injury. That is somebody that is completely biased and probably making excuses why he doesn't lift heavy ass weight. Hey, not everyone has to like heavy ass weight. Not everyone wants to be big and strong. That's okay. You do you, Mr. Gym guy. You do you. But Ice Cold Tristan, he's going to squat 445 and then who knows, maybe 495. Zero option. I got to say one more thing about this. I do. Who cares? It's like the Christmas story with Ralphie and the Red Ryder BB gun. You shoot your eye out, kid. That's him. You shoot your eye out. You're going to get a knee injury. Ooh. You're going to get a hip injury. Oh. You're going to get a lower back injury. You shoot your eye out, kid. You shoot your eye out, kid. You know what? I'd rather shoot my eye out. I'd rather get a knee injury than sitting on the couch being a fat ass mother. I would. You know what? Everybody gets an injury. I'm going to tell you right now. Here's a life truth. From a 57-year-old man, everybody gets an injury, whether they're doing squats or sitting on the couch. And you know what? The kind of injuries that are worse? Sitting on the couch, being a fat ass eating Doritos, not doing any exercise, feeling like shit, constipated, can't sleep right. You have a Dunlap so big, it Dunlapped over your belt. It Dunlapped over your stuff, your junk. You can't even see it. You got to forage around in the forest to try to find your junk. You have to stretch before wiping your kabuski. How do you like to get an injury trying to stretch just to wipe your own asshole? Ooh, go get the injury. Ooh, shut up. Shut the fuck up, right? That's what I want to say to these people. Like, okay, let's go back to just eating whatever we want and get diabetes, right? The people I see most broke dick are the people that aren't exercising. I don't know about you guys. Like they're the ones who are, I'm 40, oh, life's over. Like they attribute everything in life. You ever work with one of these people? They attribute everything in life to old age. It's not from old age, it's from misuse, disrepair. You don't take care of what you got, and then it breaks down. You're like, old age. I am going on 40 years of lifting. Next year it'll be 40 years. Have I had minor injuries? Yeah. Do I fear them? No. Someday I'm going to go in the gym and my arm's going to fall off or my head's going to fall off. But I'm going to go out the way I want, living, seeing my potential, seeing what I can accomplish, seeing what I can achieve, and not being a bitch. People like this, you know what? They have the right to do whatever they want. But I'm going to tell you something. One of the things I have found out in this life is one of the purposes of life is to see what you are capable of, to push yourself. When I started ultra running, I got a lot of questions like, why you do that? Why shouldn't I do that? Am I only a lifter? Am I trying to prove something by being a hybrid athlete? No. Or fast. But I fell in love with the challenge. And there are people that don't love challenge. Everybody's different. Everybody has a right to do whatever they want. Right? Maybe some people just like to sit in a little on the couch and the little ball and the chippy and the thing. And the, right. That's fine. You do you. Life is short. You're on this ball one time. I don't care how anybody lives as long as they're not hurting another person. So long as they're not trying to blow up a building or drive a fucking truck through a crowd of people. I don't care how anybody lives. I do not care. But what I will say is one way I like to live is to see what I can do. Because at the end of the day, I can look back. People can say, you don't run fast. I know. No, I don't run fast, but I ran for 52 hours for my 52nd birthday. Not straight. We had to stop for food, obviously. I ran many, many 50Ks, many trail marathons. And I'm not patting myself on the back, but people ask, why are you doing that? Why shouldn't I do it? Everybody told me I was going to get injured. I never got injured. Even if I would it be worth it? You want to be 70-year-old, sitting in a wheelchair and doing a little walker, having a lifetime of memories? Or you want to sit there going, what did I watch on TV last week? It's all up to you. Say I have 6 exercises per workout session, but time is short. Do I drop an exercise or scale down the sets? So it doesn't have to be an either or, okay? You can maybe do 3 for some and 2 for the other. Maybe leading off bench, you do 3 sets one week, and the next week you lead off with 2 sets, and you alternate between 2 protocols, right? So what you can do is feel free to create something unique. Do you have to drop an exercise? No. Do you have to drop sets? Not necessarily. Just know that there's a whole big spectrum of possibilities, right? Let's say you're doing upper workouts and you lead with bench press, and then you do seated dumbbell overhead press, and you're limited on time. Week 1, maybe do 3 sets of bench and then 2 sets of dumbbell overheads. And then maybe week 2, you do 2 sets of bench and 3 sets of dumbbell overheads. And maybe use a different rep protocol every other week. That's fine. Just know that there's many, many ways. Also curious if you perhaps form check my deadlift. Absolutely. Anything that's been on there, I have form checked. I got to go in and check a few more. Let's see. I've checked everything. There's a few more from today that I haven't checked. Great advice. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you tuning in. Our incline Smith presses better. Nope. Here we go. Here we go. Everybody in the massive iron world, strap it on, strap it in. We're about to go. We're about to go. We're about to go. Good question. And these are the type of questions I like because they educate. Are incline Smith presses better than incline dumbbell presses? It's been a few weeks since I said this, guys, but repeat after me. Better is always a combination of both. Are they both pretty impactful exercises? Yes. Are they fairly equivalent? Yeah, fairly equivalent. So which one's better? There is no better. The answer is doing both is probably better. Is one better at targeting the upper shelf of the chest? No one can answer that. But what would be the logical best strategy if you're unsure? Do both every other week. That's what I would do. 100%. What did I do in my prime? I would rotate between incline barbell and incline dumbbell every other week. The answer is always both. You find out by doing. What would you say is a good amount of weekly sets to aim for when doing legs as a novice? When you're just starting breaking in, probably 8 to 9 is a good starting point. And as the soreness or DOMS kind of rescinds a little bit and isn't so intense, then you can maybe move to maybe 10 or 12. Ice cold. When cutting, is it possible to lose body fat while maintaining daily calorie intake and move around more? You would have to move around a lot more. Okay. So let me just pull something up here, and I want to just provide a real world example, not just some vaporous answer. So we are going to go to the world of ChatGPT. So I'm going to turn on the mic here. No, I better not. If your maintenance is 3,000 calories and you add, let's say you add 5 hours of treadmill. Let's make sure we do steady state treadmill per week. How many extra pounds per year will you lose if you weigh, let's just say 185? Okay. So we're not going to cut calories because we like food. We're going to add 5 hours of steady state treadmill per week. And it can be 5 hours or whatever. And we're assuming the individual weighs about 185. So let's see what the magic answer is. Okay. Calorie burn per hour, 1 pound of fat. By adding 5 hours of steady state treadmill per week, you could potentially lose 30 pounds per year, or about 2.5 pounds per month. So let's frame this. 20 hours, probably more like 22 hours on the treadmill to lose 2.5 to 3 pounds a month. That's what you would need to do, about 20 to 22 extra hours of cardio. So if 22 hours of cardio, let's make sure steady state cardio yields, okay, let's just say 34 pounds of fat loss per year, how many pounds do you lose per, so 22 hours per month? Per month of steady state cardio yields 34 pounds of fat loss per year. How many pounds do you lose per every hour of steady state? So you have like nearly 400 hours or 264 hours per year of cardio to lose 34 pounds of fat. You lose approximately 0.13 pounds of fat per hour of steady state cardio. So there you have it, roughly 1/8 pound of fat. You can do it. The issue is doing that degree of cardio tends to drive your appetite up, even to a small degree. What they have found is that unmonitored, people that exercise more tend to eat more. Shocker, right? So you would have to really nail down your calories every single day to make sure you weren't going over. And you're still going to have to monitor the scale because you don't know if that's your true maintenance. So at the end of the day, you're going to have a very, very tight calorie window, and you're going to have to monitor the scale like anybody else. And is it worth it to do 264 hours of cardio a year? I don't know. That's up to you. I'd rather knock off 200 calories so a day. While you we answered that. Richard, greetings, happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in. I get extremely hungry after my workouts, and there is a McDonald's right across from the gym. Yeah, I used to do once a week. I would allow myself 3 McDoubles. They're 1,140 calories and 72 grams of protein. I would do that once a week, but more and more, I've lost the appetite for McDonald's. It just tastes weird compared to even like Wendy's. Is there a mandatory to have varied training cycle throughout the year, or can you use it? You can use the same workout forever. The key thing to worry about here isn't changing workouts, but allowing yourself the freedom to evolve your workouts. Does that make sense? So we don't want to be the robot guy. I can use the same workout forever for 15 years. Ha ha ha. Right. Ha ha ha. I'll show you. That's dumb. Over the years, we evolve things. We try new things. We're going to try things. We're going to try new exercises. Why? Who cares why? Just for fun. A little bit of boredom. We want to have fun. It's okay to have fun when we live. So we're going to try new exercise. We might even try new rep range, new protocols. But it's most important to think about evolving your training based on needs, if that makes sense. Big Martin, client of mine, have been increasing leg volume, now at 11 hard sets for hammies and calvesies and 14 hard sets for quads weekly. Looking to bring hammy whammy volume up. I would be very careful about adding in any more lower back stress. So I wouldn't overdo the RDLs. Leg curls are low punishment, and you can play the volume game more with them. Volume obviously isn't the prime driver of hypertrophy, but in the long run, if we have progression opportunities built in, we're good. Maybe a single leg wall RDL is a good choice. Less stressful on the lower back. You could do like even things like kettlebell swings or dumbbell deadlifts. They indirectly hit the hamstrings. That's something we can talk about. because I want to think through that. Ventrix, thanks for all your help. Thank you, and you have a wonderful year. Would you recommend a 10-pound bulk for someone at roughly 28% body fat? No, I mean, you do not have to cut if you don't want to cut. The key thing is there's two variables. Number one, mentally, how is my weight feeling to me? Does it bother me? If not, you can do it. Number two, am I aware of the potential health benefits in the long run of being slightly over, slightly borderline? Because this would be borderline. Yes. Okay. So that's fine. If you took someone at 28% body fat, you want to do a little math? You guys want to do a little fun adventure? Let's just take theory and blibber blabbing, right? And look at what it means in the real world, what it would mean. Let's look at this and comb through it rather than just speculate. So I'm going to share screen. So if you are, let's crank up the font size here. Let's see. Let's say you weigh 230 at 28% body fat, right? And we got to get out the calculator because we want to do specific. So 230 times 0.28 would mean you have 64.4 pounds of fat. Okay. So let's say you do the 10-pound bulking protocol and then the 10-pound cutting protocol, and you end up at 230. And we'll just leave this blank for right now. And you end up gaining only 4 pounds of muscle. Let's say 3 pounds. Let's just say 2 pounds of muscle. Let's go really conservative. We're going to play like every 5-month phase, we're going to gain 2 pounds of muscle. We'll be very conservative to bring things down to the, so if you have 62.4 divided by 230, you're down to 27.1%. Okay. That's after one phase of training. One phase, 1 10-pound bulk, 1 10-pound cut. All right. Let's say we do this 5 more times. And we end up, we end up at 230. And we've done this 5 more times. And we've lost 10 pounds of fat and we've gained 10 pounds of muscle in the cycles because we're gaining 10, we're bulking, and then we're cutting 10. So each time we bulk, we're gaining 2 pounds of muscle. So let's say we're going to do this 5 more times for a total of 6 bulk and cut cycles. So 2 pounds, we're going to get down to 52.4. And we have some more muscle mass. So 52.4. Whoops. I messed up. I'm having a calculator here. 52.4 divided by 230. We're down to 22.78. So you can see we're changing our body composition. And you're staying at the same weight of 230. But now you are down to 22.78%. You've gained 12 pounds of muscle. Now let's say one more final thing. You decide, I'm done. I'm going to get down to 210 pounds, right? And we're going to lose fat. And you have 32.4 pounds of it is fat. So 32.4 divided by 210. All of a sudden, you're down to about 15.4% body fat. So there's many ways up the mountain. If you're still young and you're not ready for a big 20-pound drop, that's fine. if you want to get a few bulk and cut cycles under. But we just took an individual that was 230 pounds at 28%, and we did 6 bulk and cut cycles and a fat loss phase. That's like 3.5 years. So in 3.5 years, at very, very modest muscle gain levels, you just ended up 20 pounds lighter with 12 pounds more muscle. So you lost 32 pounds of fat, gained 12 pounds of muscle. And at the end of the road, you ended up 210 pounds. Now, let's just do one more. I'd say that's not good enough. We're going to get down to 195. And 195 to some of you would seem like, whoa, right? That's a lot of weight. You just dropped off another 15 pounds of fat. You have 17.4 pounds of fat left, a little bit higher than 25% of where you started. And all of a sudden you wake up and you're like 8.9%. You're in Shredsville. You're in Shredsville. So that's just rough. You can do whatever you want. Just always see the bigger picture. And what percentage of my deadlift, 1 rep max, would you suggest for me to use as starting point to get back into snatch pulls and deadlifts? To get back into them, you mean you've been away from them for a while, right? When I've been away from anything for a while, I start at 135. That's the percentage I start at. So unless I'm missing any information, if I haven't deadlifted in a while, like when I moved to this new house last year, and I had to move equipment, move house, do all the stuff. I didn't deadlift for like 6 months. I started with 135, and then I eased back in the next week 185, and then I went to 205 and 225 and 240. It went up to in like 6 weeks to like 400, or the 12 weeks to 400. You don't have to go super slow, but you do have to ease in, let that connective tissue get up to speed. Woodulus, one of my clients, signed up for coaching. He made me strong like bull. He is getting incredibly strong. And I'm very, very proud to see the dedication of the process and the mileage he has put on the tires. He went from, and this is not an insult anyway, very, very skinny and frail looking to being pretty darn strong. And not exactly a spring chicken, as my mom would say. So just really happy with your dedication to the process. I get sore from dual rope pushdowns. I get more sore from dual rope pushdowns than overhead extensions, and neither are new movements for me. Should I prioritize the former, even though it's shortened bias? Okay. So we're going to resort back to the prime directive in the massive iron world. When you have 2 exercises and you are torn between which one, use both. Okay. Don't overthink it. Adding to that, muscle soreness is not the be-all, end-all. It's a good indicator that something's going on, but don't put all your eggs in the muscle soreness basket. Definitely, I would consider doing both. Patty, which champion bodybuilder had the best training program? That's a really, really good question. That is a real. Ronnie trained hard. Jay kind of did more volume, but he got reasonably strong. Are we talking natty or not? Phew. This is a really good question. Frank, I talked to Frank Zane, and he switched a lot to lower, more feely stuff once he was already down the path. This is a really tough one. There's a lot of them I think are quality. I think Arnold had a pretty quality setup, even though it was pretty brutal. Some of the programs before the 70s were a little bit more minimalistic. That's a really, really hard question to answer, but it is a good question. And I think I should answer that in let's see. I'm going to make a video of that. What champion bodybuilder has the best program? I'm leaving myself a note. Maybe we could do a tier list. That would be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun. If you guys have any suggestions on who I should put in the tier list, or you found one of their workouts, let me know. I think that would be a lot of fun. Big Ernie, thank you for your dedication and the value you provide your clients in the online fitness space in general. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Ernie. I sincerely appreciate it. Yesterday, I had somebody sign up, and they told me unsolicited, sincerely, thank you for having my coaching price so inexpensive. And I am able to do so because I coach for a living, and it affords me my dream life, right? I have my own home and my own gym, and I charge low price coaching. Like, people tell me I'm insane, but I get to work with wonderful people like you guys. So I couldn't be happier. Big Martin, Big JD on the coaching train. Choo choo, mother. Yep. Glad to have him on board. Big Billy Baker. You just mentioned alternating between incline and dumbbell. If each week you did one flat and one incline, would you do the dumbbell first? I always do the barbell first. That's what I always did. When I was kind of at my prime, one of the things I evolved to was doing the first lift would be barbell bench, and then next week incline barbell bench, and then I would do the dumbbell second. You can do it either way you want. I think in the world we live in where the bench is king, I just naturally gravitated towards doing it first. You can do whatever you want. Look, I'm creating a tornado. Creating the old vortex of creatine, right? Little electrolyte love. Great advice. Started the 5, 10, 10, 20 on my program, added to my boys' football program. Good. That's a wonderful program. Build up some strength, endurance, and I think he'll see his bench rocketing up. Bro Science, Mr. Steve, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to follow your last workout, press focus, to increase my bench press. However, you don't explain if we should go in on all exercise to max safe reps. On the bench press, you can. You can. Do you need to do that on every exercise? No. On the bench press, you can, or you can do one or two. A lot of it depends on your experience levels. I wouldn't just jump into all in if you're not used to even, I don't know what if you're used to pushing 1, 2, or 3 exercises to failure. So if you need more information, just message me. We can talk a little bit behind the scenes. Ice cold. Instead of doing 5 hours of steady state per week, will the results be the same if I do 10 to 12 minutes on a rower? Number one, here's the big issue I have. Okay. If you want to maintain your weight and maintain your muscle mass, then maintenance level is a good thing. Okay. If you maintain your weight, you're going to severely make it difficult to add additional muscle mass. Now, there are reasons why people want to maintain weight for sports, etc., but we might have to do a little off-season foolery. I don't like maintaining weight unless you're pretty much capped at mass. So the foundation of the conversation is making me nervous. Does that make sense? I'd like to know a little bit of more why you want to stay at maintenance. Not a criticism. We're just trying to find out more information. Big Hairy Ugly Dude, do you think it is better to do 2s instead of 3s for deadlifts? I have no issues with 2s. I think sometimes in the modern landscape, we feel a lot of pressure to over posterior chain our workouts with dumb deadlifts and RDLs and squats and just hammering the living crap out of our lower back and posterior chain. I think moving your deadlifts to 2 sets, and I've made a video about this before, frees up some of your workout time for other back work and is a little bit more forgiving on the lower back. So in the long run, it's not going to hurt you and you can always change. Can there be 2 ego lifters, like one weight too heavy and does partial reps, and the other does excessive range of motion with low weight? Ego can become a slave to any rule protocol. We equate ego lifting to sloppy or over heavy use or use of over heavy weight, but being a servant, a slave to your ego, and ignoring the possibility that low weight with excessive range of motion it doesn't really do much, right? Low weight's always going to become a heavyweight with progressive overload. Like progressive overload's the engine. It turns everything low weight into heavyweight over time, right? That's what we always have to remember. So if we back down and go really low weight and we're trying to do excessive range of motion, we've become obsessed with excessive range of motion as the be-all, end-all, and it's not. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to hang around to see if you have any more questions. If not, I will go. I just want to encourage you to join Team Massive. Check out the link in a recent video description box. Coaching, I'd love to work with you. Head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. Check out the coaching tab. And let's just have an amazing 2025. Let's not waste this wonderful opportunity that we have.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.